It takes
Okay, good morning, Anne
not
Arundel
quite live
County.
yet. Hold
Okay, you're
on.
good.
Okay, we're good.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Good morning, Anne Arundel County. Before we get started, because we do have votes today on bills, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer here in a second, I would like to take a roll call. Mr. Secretary, please take the roll.
Vice Chair Simmons,
Present.
Delegate Bagnall,
Present.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett, Delegate Baylor, Delegate Chang,
Here.
Delegate Chisholm,
Here.
Delegate Howard, Delegate Jones,
Present.
Delegate Kipke,
Here.
Delegate Lehman,
Present.
Delegate Pena Melnick,
Here.
Delegate Congolo,
Present.
Delegate Rogers,
Here.
Delegate Schmidt,
Schmidt, here.
Delegate Pruski.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and for the roll, and I'm sure there'll be others join us. Before we begin today, this is the first part of the meeting is a joint hearing session. On the screen, I see Senator Guile, Senator Simon Ayer. If I'm missing anybody else, please let me know. But we'd like to welcome the House and the Senate. Before we get started today and introduce guests, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer brought by Delegate Brian Chisholm.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have everybody bow their heads. Dear God, on this special day of love, we come before you with hearts full of gratitude. Thank you for the gift of love that surrounds us from family, friends, partners, and colleagues. We pray that your love continues to fill our lives, that we are always reminded of the beauty in caring for one another. We ask for your blessing on those who may feel lonely or hurt today, that may feel your presence and the comfort of your love and grace. May they be reminded of the love you have for them, which is endless and unconditional. Help us to spread kindness and compassion, not only today, but every day. May our words and actions reflect your love, and may we brighten the lives of those around us. Teach us to love as you love, with patience, understanding, and joy. Thank you for the relationships that bring us joy and for the opportunity to show love in all its forms. May we always cherish these bonds and grow in kindness towards one another. In your holy name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Delegate Chisholm, for the pledge and prayer this morning. We do want to take a moment to introduce some guests that we have here today. I know the Superintendent, Dr. Bedell, and I mentioned some senators. I'm sure we'll have some others join us. At this time, we have a special guest today that will bring very brief remarks. I know she's just stopping in, but our newly elected U.S. Senator in the state of Maryland, Angela Alsobrooks. I'll turn the floor over to her, and we want to welcome you to Anne Arundel County's delegation meeting.
And Mr. Chair, this is David Sloan. I don't think the senator has joined just yet. So Phil,
this is Jordan. Just was text that she's in the waiting room. If someone could let her in, please.
Yeah. I have some text from Senator's office that she's having a hard time getting in.
Okay.
Oh, there she is.
There we go.
There she is.
There's our
There we
senator.
Thank you. Carry on.
Senator, can you hear us?
Okay, I'm sorry. There we are. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Well, welcome to the delegation. I know you didn't hear us, but we wanted to welcome you, obviously our newly elected senator, to drop into the Anne Arundel meeting, and I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair Pruski, and to Vice Chair Simmons and everyone. It's so good to see you this morning. And you know, I'm just so far I have to tell you, we are working really steadily in Washington. But as we all know, Anne Arundel County and all of our communities are really vitally important to the success of our state. And so it's been my priority to make sure that I am working in the Senate, both with Democrats and Republicans, working to make sure that we are bringing progress to our state. Now, we've been busily, as you all have noticed, working first through confirmation hearings. I have participated in a number of those hearings, and I have used as a tool first studying and looking at the qualifications of all the nominees, and then asking whether these are individuals who will best serve the interests of Marylanders and Americans. Because of that, I initially did confirm, voted to confirm, for example, the Secretary of Transportation, because I wanted to make sure that Marylanders have the opportunity to have a relationship with the administration. I want to make sure that we are working on behalf of all Marylanders. As you've noticed, however, the administration has taken a number of actions, which I believe could be harmful to Marylanders with the cut in jobs in Maryland. So I've been deeply concerned about the loss. Yesterday, you saw, for example, 200,000 employees who were let go unceremoniously. Many of them are Marylanders who have been cut. And so I have changed my posture with respect to looking at the confirmations because of the treatment of Marylanders. I'm deeply concerned about NIH, about research that has been abridged very quickly, and I believe will be harmful. So I'm keeping my eyes open. But going forward, my posture will be no on nominations, on cabinet level nominations, until I see a change in the way that Marylanders are treated, most especially the federal workers who I believe have been targeted. But I'm going to, continue working. I'm on a number of committees. One is the Banking Committee. I've also been proud to be on the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, the Environment and Public Works, as well as aging. These are all committees that I believe are going to really deliver for Maryland. And I'll be working in a bipartisan fashion to make sure that I do everything I can to bring back critical resources to our state. And those include resources around transportation and infrastructure. Very concerned as well about the Chesapeake Bay and making sure that we're doing everything we can to bring investment into care there. So I am, all in all, we're working really hard. I'm looking forward to working very closely with all of you to make sure that we are doing what we can in this moment to protect Maryland's fiscal health and to make sure that we are succeeding as a state. So again, I want to say thank you so much to each of you for what you're doing. I know you all are working very hard in Annapolis right now. I'm going to be proud to be partnering with all of you along with our governor and other leaders to make sure that we're doing what we can for our state.
Thank you, Senator Also Brooks. And I want to remind everybody, because I talked to David Sloan about this the other day, an email was sent to you in mid-January with contact information for Senator Also Brooks. So if you do need to reach out or you have questions and follow up, I wanted to remind staff there was an email sent. I know we get a lot of emails, but we appreciate David and Jordan and everyone for reaching out and if you ever need to contact. But Senator Also Brooks, thanks for stopping in today. We appreciate you. I'm sure we'll have future questions and invite you back again, but thank you again for coming today.
All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move along. We have Mayor Gavin Buckley. For those of you that don't know, Mayor Buckley, obviously the mayor of Annapolis, has been trying to partner in Anne Arundel County for a long time on numerous projects. After I served on the council, but also with many of you, we try and make everyone work together, especially the city of Annapolis has a lot to offer. And of course, the Capitol and other things are listed. And today, Mayor Buckley wanted to bring some greetings to Anne Arundel County's delegation. So I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Buckley. Welcome, sir. I know we're waiting for you to unmute.
Right.
There you go.
How are we doing? Sorry about that. Well, great to be here with you all and great to be among friends. I want to thank you all for the support that you've given Annapolis over my 7 years in office. I'm on the home stretch now. So I have 1 year left to make sure that my hair doesn't turn gray, which is what happens to every politician after 8 years in office, it seems like. I think, we've done incredible things together. The city has its highest credit rating it's had in its history. we're an environmental leader. We've done more infrastructure projects than has been done in modern times. And of course, the big thing that we all work on, and the big thing that is so beloved to us, is the Chesapeake Bay. And that beautiful Chesapeake Bay that we all brag on and use and get on is currently, our biggest threat. And so today I'm going to just talk briefly about a project that you have supported from the beginning, which is the City Dock Flood Protection and Park and the Welcome Center. Now, last year we had a record flooding year, and I want to thank you all for the vault funds that you made accessible to those small businesses when we had our third worst flooding event in history last year. And I would ask that you could consider legislation that brings that program back, because I can tell you those small business owners on Dock Street wouldn't have gotten back on their feet if it wasn't for you all. So we have a reputation in this city for being a beautiful, historic waterfront town, but our current reputation is becoming a town that floods. And I went to work on that project when I first stepped into office and came up with a short-term solution to our flooding, but it's only a stopgap. The City Dock project, which I'm about to show you, if we could pull up some slides.
If I may, it's Kate, the Mayor's Chief of Staff. I was hoping to share our screen to show the slides we had this morning, and did ask for some permissions to do that, but it looks like I don't have those permissions.
Mr. Secretary or Chief of Staff, is there any way they could share? I know they were, just so everyone's aware, they were emailed out to everyone, but Mr. Secretary, I'll let you respond.
We're looking at it right now.
Okay.
So to just confirm, and you all know, our flooding in the city of Annapolis is sunny day flooding. A NOAA study confirmed in 2017 that Annapolis has the highest increase in sunny day flooding than any other city in America. And so we know what it's like. We've all dealt with it. We've all tried to get into session when Compromise Street's been flooded and you can't get into your hotel, or you've tried to use the downtown businesses when they've been blocked off. But we're using this as an opportunity. We've come up with a very creative way to finance this, which is through a P3 on the city's most busiest garage, the Hillman Garage. But our short-term solution and this project are essential to this state capital, and this project is getting a lot of attention. It is not only because of what we're going to do to protect our amazing historic district, but also the way we financed it through multiple sources. We've used the federal government, the state government, county government, and all different aspects. And we've come together as a team, as Team Maryland, to make sure that we protect the state capital and also make sure that we create a model that other parts of the country are going to look at. So the next slide is the model, right? The next slide is Kate.
Sorry, everyone. I am trying to share my screen. It looked like it worked there for a moment. No, it's telling me it still has disabled attendee screen sharing. So
Okay.
we can't have that, unfortunately.
Yep.
So I'll just keep going, and if the slides pop up. So, we are raising City Dock 6 feet. We're creating an amazing public space. It is an amazing opportunity for us to do storytelling. But mainly that public space is going to be the City Dock for the next generation, for the next 50 to 100 years. We're going to have a public space that will bring people together. We'll learn history, good and bad. Annapolis was a slave port. It was on the Mid-Atlantic Passage. We have to acknowledge that history, but we have to learn from that history, but also learn from the watermen, the middle class that came in through that port as well and made their fortunes here. We will have, and I say this all the time, if you build good community space, you build good community. You build a place where people can come together and enjoy this amazing city. Some people that are not as lucky as other people who don't live on the water, but get to come to what is going to be one of the best parks in America. And that there's two aspects of that park. There's the main area that I wanted to show you on this slide, which is going to have a central fountain in, it's going to have a stage area in, and then another area can do a bigger stage as well, but it's going to actually bring some grass to City Dock, stop it being the heat island that it currently is. We should not have a parking lot on our waterfront. And then there is going to be also a new waterfront welcome center. We're going to take our Harbour Master's office from the middle of the parking lot, the flooded parking lot, move it to the waterfront and create a great public building that everybody will be able to go to. And people are calling it the People's Yacht Club. A place where if you don't belong to the Annapolis Yacht Club or the Eastport Yacht Club or other private clubs, you will be able to use this facility and take advantage of it. And next to this facility, which hopefully you are looking at your slides now, will be our new waterfront welcome center. It's about the same footprint as the current Harbour Master's office, but it will have beautiful new upgraded bathrooms, public bathrooms. It will have a big balcony for viewing of Spa Creek, and that it will have a new welcome center. The Anne Arundel County Welcome Center will be there. It will have merchandise and an outdoor place to potentially buy tickets to get on a ferry to go across. We're trying to reactivate the ferry system. And remember, Annapolis used to have ferries that came here, used to have trains that come here. We need to go back to those ideas and bring them back to the state capitol. And then another little thing I want to show you, when you can see on your last slide there, at the end of Prince George Street, there is going to be a park dedicated to a man who is well known in this city, Vince Leggett. And he always spoke about the African Americans' contribution to the building of this city. We're going to honor that man who just passed away, Vince, with Vince Leggett Park. And that area, why it's so fitting to have a park there named after this man, is that this area in the city was called Hell Point. And this is where men and women who worked the water used to live. Now, none of their houses were preserved. So there's no record of any of that. And the only house that we preserved is the Burtis house. And that is Captain Burtis has a great story. And we're going to tell that story in that preserved house. But we also need to tell Vince Leggett's story. And you'll see on that slide, there's a great quote from him that there once was a time when a man with a small boat and a big heart could make a living on the Chesapeake Bay. So lots of multiple aspects to this this beautiful public space that we're creating, this beautiful public building that we're creating. But also, by the way, it is going to stop flooding and it is going to stop the next Hurricane Isabel. And it's not a question of if there's going to be another Hurricane Isabel. There is going to be another Hurricane Isabel, and we want your state capitol to be protected. We couldn't do it without the partnership that we've created. I appreciate you, and we appreciate Team Maryland and being Maryland strong. And I know we're moving to a brighter future. So I want to say thank you again for all you've done. And I think this might be my last call with you on this capacity. Thank you all.
Well, Mayor Buckley, I just want to take a moment and thank you. I know that we had a couple hands up. If you don't mind taking questions. I know, Kate, I believe from your staff, did you have something to add, or you just had your hand up for the slides? I want to make sure.
Yes, thank you, Delegate Pruski. Yes, I just wanted to let everybody know that we did email the slide deck yesterday. So I'm not sure if it was distributed yet, to everyone yet, but they should be available. And I'll be happy to share them with anyone if there's any issues. So yeah, apologies we couldn't get it work this morning, but just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. I can confirm because I checked my email. The secretary did send those out. So everyone does have the slides. And even if they didn't see them live, they do have them. But thank you again. And thank you, Mayor Buckley. We'll turn over to Delegate Schmidt. I believe he has a comment or question.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Mayor. Really appreciate all your work on this topic. The city dock is such a jewel. We do need to protect it. And I know you're fighting hard to do that for us. I do have a bone to pick with you. I was invited to City Hall yesterday by former Mayor Schmoke. I'm wondering when I'm going to get my formal invite to come to City Hall from Mayor Buckley.
Anytime.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Schmidt. I'll see if there's any other hands up here. Well, let me just say this, Mayor Buckley, thank you again. Oh, Delegate Bartlett, I'm sorry. And then Delegate Rogers. Yeah, Delegate Bartlett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say thank you, Mayor Buckley. I was following along with the slides as you were presenting. I'm very excited to see the Vince Leggett Park be, that is included. And you have talked about how the water, how the design is going to help with the flooding. So I appreciate that, and I cannot wait to see it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Bartlett. I believe Delegate Rogers is next.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chair, and Mr. Mayor, always great to see you, and always happy to add to the economy of Annapolis. And so, I'm like Delegate Schmidt. I want my personal tour of the office and the space. So let's try to set something up.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Delegate Chisholm.
You all have my number, so I've definitely got to get you out on the water. You might have heard of one of my controversies, Dinghy Gate. The mayor has a big dinghy, and I'd be willing to take any of you guys out on the water anytime you want. So, because it's amazing how many people have not seen the city from the water side. I've taken FEMA people out, senators, and high-ranking people who you think know this city, but you don't know this city until you see it from the water. So, open invitation to anybody that wants to come out, and we could end up in Eastport and maybe grab a beer afterwards.
Thank you, Delegate Chisholm.
Yeah, and I concur with that. It is a beautiful city to see by the water, and also a great place to drink a beer. But I just wanted to say, because I know this could be your last, I really do appreciate a lot that you've done. You told me one of the first times I met you was you're a bleeding heart liberal, but you understand business, and that's always been a breath of fresh air to me. I know you like to build private-public partnerships, and I think that's vital. And it really creates a great team with real solutions. So I just want to say thank you. We don't always agree on everything, but I think you've done a pretty good job. So thank you. And I hope to catch up with you for a beer soon.
Thank you so much, Derek Chisholm. I remember when we had Travis Pastrana come across Ego Alley, and you guys snuck up the steps there at the Harbour Master's office to watch it because it was a closed set that 10,000 people came to. But I would say this about Maryland, and I do think Maryland is a model for the country. Flood water is not a red or blue thing, right? It doesn't have a side. It just finds its own level, and we understand what that looks like because we've all experienced it come into your city. We don't want that to be the city's reputation. We want the city's reputation to be how we solved it. But at the same time, we're creating an amazing economic development opportunity. When we do this beautiful public space, all the things around it will improve. And if you go there now, if you look at the Harbour Square Mall or even Harvey's Latitude 38 or the Cockroach Billboard, we can do better than that. And what will happen when we make a great, beautiful public space there, investment will come into some of those properties, and we'll see some real great reinvestment, and then that'll put money back on the tax rolls, and then we'll have revenue. And I've always thought of my job from the revenue side. It's really hard in what we do because not enough people think of the revenue side, but the revenue side is essential. And you all know that the main revenue this city gets is property tax.
100%. Thank you, sir.
Delegate Jones.
Thank you so much, Chair. And to my mayor, while this might be our last Zoom and delegation together, I am happy that we have continued work for our shared constituency. You and your team have been not only great colleagues in the work, but also a good friend. So as we help you run through the tape, we have plenty still left to do, and I'm so glad to call you friend. So thank you for all the work that you've done.
Thank you. And then we have Delegate Lehman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for your service, for being such an amazing ambassador for in your adopted country and your adopted city. You really are. They broke the mold on you, really and truly. So thank you. But I just wanted to ask really briefly, and I don't know if I missed it. What is the timeline for this exciting project? Is it in phases? When does it begin? When will it be complete?
So we had hoped to start last November, because what we have, the challenge we have, and if you've ever been to the Academy and you see the $36 million improvement they did on the Farragut Wall, the southeast corner of the Academy, you know, that is a place that had optimal construction conditions, and it still and it still cost that kind of money. We have to balance our construction like we did the garage. Remember the Hillman garage? We tore that down and rebuilt it in a year. So we have to construct the park in between our boat shows, which are in October, and then we have to get it completed in 11 months and then get it back in place. So every delay doesn't just cost us a month or two, it could cost us a whole year. We are currently on track. We just had a great FEMA meeting 2 days ago to start construction after the boat show. And then the team that built the amazing garage in record time, on budget, and under time, sorry, are the same team, Whiting Turner, that are going to be building the park. So the park will be built between starting at the end of this year and then be finished before the boat show starts, so we can put the boat show back in place. And then we'll take another year to do other parts of it, such as in front of Chop Tank, that parking lot there is going to become a green space as well. And then the flood protection, the other type of flood protection is called a vertical a barricade that comes out of the ground, and that has to be put in around Ego Alley and around where you see the Alex Haley Memorial, and then around to Chop Tank. So that will be in construction after the 26 boat show, and then we'll be celebrating it into 27. So it's a long-term project, but getting the shovel in the ground is the most important thing, and building something that is a model for the country. I speak about this project all over the country in different mayors conferences, and a lot of people are looking at Annapolis at what we're doing and how Maryland is leading with this project. Nothing's easy. Nothing happens in a hurry. You know, I have a few people that want to protect the parking lot for some reason. But we have added an extra 160 spaces at the new garage. And so there is a net gain in parking, and there is multiple gains in what we're going to build. Sorry for that long-winded explanation there, but we're starting at the end of the year.
Right. Very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for this.
Thank you. And I believe Delegate Pena-Melnick.
Thank you. Good morning. I just want to say thank you for your public service, for always having a beautiful disposition and doing everything with grace. I really appreciate you, okay? You deserve these flowers. You're really a good human being. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Delegate Pena-Melnick. And I will just finish because I don't see any other questions on behalf of the entire Anne Arundel delegation, and I'm sure the Senate would agree. Mayor Buckley, thank you for your service. We appreciate you reaching out, always being collaborative and willing to pick up the phone. And we do wish you well, but we're still going to see you. We still got a partner to finish some of these things, and we appreciate the presentation you provided today. And I know also your contact information with Kate and everybody, you're always available. So if anybody does have any questions, to reach out, but thank you for coming today.
We appreciate you guys. I'm so glad to have been part of this team. So I'm really proud of the work that we've all done together. So you should all be proud too. So
thank you so much. All right, we're going to move along with our agenda today. We do have votes. I want to remind folks of a couple of things. As we go over bills, what happens is we have an amendment. We'll hopefully get those up on the screen, discuss them, and we do need people or folks to make motions. In addition, we have one bill at the end that is first introduction today. So it's not a vote, but we'll get right into it, and I'll read the bill and turn it over to the sponsor for those that have amendments. So the first bill we have today up for a vote is HB 226, Anne Arundel County Public Schools school schedule options. If you can recall, this was the innovative school schedule that was brought forward by the school system, and I'm going to turn it over to the sponsor. I believe we were going to bundle some amendments and then have a separate amendment, but I'll turn it over to the sponsor to kind of lead that discussion at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I think the chair of the Education Subcommittee is going to introduce the amendments, and then I was just going to explain them.
Yes.
Yeah, and I believe we're trying to get to the correct amendment here. We're going through. We have to bounce through, so be patient with us.
That's the one.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm sorry, I stepped away for a minute and I am back. So we're going right into the amendments. Delegate Bagnell, did you give a very basic description of the bill? Do we need that one paragraph to refresh people's memories on what the purpose of the bill is?
Certainly. So the purpose of the bill is, in essence, to go from what's currently in law, which is 180 days and 1,080 hours, to an or. We sent this to the Education Subcommittee because we wanted to put some guardrails around, requests that had come in from various stakeholders, and the Education Subcommittee considered several amendments. What we did, because there were a couple amendments that were unanimous and one that was not, we bundled the unanimous amendments together, and that's what you see on your screen. And Madam Chair, if you would like, I can just explain what this amendment does.
Yes, go ahead. The first, I have them numbered as 1 and 2, with the board electing the scheduling model, eliminating the days, and then the second one, but we bundled them, is to have a sunset of 2029. But go ahead.
Correct. So what you see in front of you, how HB 0226/613-422/1, it speaks to the sunset, which you see at the bottom and in line 23 after the period insert. It shall remain effective for a period of 4 years. So that's putting a 4-year sunset on it. The first part, where it says on page 3 in line 13 after F insert 1 in the same line, et cetera, et cetera. Number 2, if the county board elects to use a scheduling model that eliminates early dismissal days, the county board shall negotiate the relevant issues with the employee organization designated as the exclusive representative of the impacted school employees in accordance with section 6-406 and 6-507 of this article. For our subcommittee members, that 6-507 was the conceptual technical update to the amendments that we voted on. And this amendment, in essence, just references the part of the statute that requires that calendars not be confirmed until until they have completed their contractual negotiations, because there is a prohibition on negotiating the calendar with the subsequent bargaining units. And with that, I would move the amendments.
I'll second that.
Okay, before we have a motion and moved and seconded, but it believes Delegate Rogers has a question.
Oh, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I'm bouncing back and forth off of mute. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just had a question as to with regards to where the ACCPS, is this something that they wanted, or?
These were consensus amendment that we bundled this because this was a consensus amendment between Anne Arundel County Public Schools and the Teachers Association and the superintendent, and these were unanimous in subcommittee.
Okay, thank you.
And I do want to offer, because this does impact the school system, they want to add on to that. It sounds like the question was answered, but I didn't know if anybody from the school system wanted to say anything.
Thank you, Delegate Pruski, for that opportunity. As Delegate Bagnell indicated, we're supportive of both these amendments.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor that's been properly moved in second. I will refer to it as Amendment 1 to HB 226. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Delegate Bartlett.
Could you just out of clarity, could you refer to it as the amendment number, only because it gets a little confusing because we've got so many? Thank you.
Understood. And I'll read it directly from the sheet. How about that? Like it is on the floor. HB 0226 613 422/1.
Amendment number 1.
There we go. Thank you. Any further discussion? Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
All right, this vote is for House Bill 226, Amendment number 613422/1. Vice Chair Simmons,
Yes.
Delegate Bagnell,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Baylor,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
Yes.
Delegate Howard,
Yes.
Delegate Jones,
Yes.
Delegate Kipke,
Yes.
Delegate Lehman,
Yes.
Delegate Pena Melnick,
Hold on a minute, we're between two delegations, yes.
okay.
It is hard.
Delegate Congolo,
Yes.
Delegate Rogers,
Yes.
Delegate Smith,
Schmidt, yes.
Chairman Pruski.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, by vote of 15-0 with 1 absent, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And I believe there is one more amendment on this bill. I will turn it over to the sponsor or the amendment sponsor.
Thank you once again. And this amendment was not unanimous. So it's House Bill 226/173/625/1. And this amendment, in essence, is the hold harmless language for hourly employees, which ensured that legislative intent was to be able to better utilize instructional hours and educational outcomes and professional development without putting anything in statute that could be interpreted as impacting the existing budget. This was not unanimous. We did get a message that it might not be necessary, but for the sake of time, because this is the work product coming out of the Education Subcommittee, I thought it wise to go ahead and move this amendment, and we can send that message to the committee as well. And if they feel that it's already it's already reflected elsewhere in the statute, that they could then remove it. So with that, I would move the amendment.
Okay, it looks like we.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. We do have some discussion. Delegate Schmidt.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to preface this. My mother worked as an hourly employee in the school system, so I by no means am disheartened with this ask here. I just find it challenging how AACPS is going to manage this. I know that when workers are not in the school, it's hard for me to understand how they're going to get paid and how it's going to be managed. So I'm just having some struggles with that. So I just want to kind of put that on records. Thank you.
So we have Delegate Chisholm.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the premise of the bill was to give Anne Arundel County Public Schools more flexibility, which I appreciate because I think they need it. And I think that this amendment is kind of contradictory to that goal. I understand wanting to protect the hourly workers. I do. But I think that the reason that we have a board is for them to make the right decisions based on everything that they've got to handle. And I think that this amendment just muddies that up for them. I trust them to do what they think is best for the school system and the students and all of their workers. And once again, I don't think that, this amendment is needed, nor is it beneficial to their ultimate goal. And that's kind of where I stood in the subcommittee meeting, and it's still where I stand today. But I appreciate all the work the subcommittee did on it. We were there a long time, so it was a great discussion, and hopefully we come out with a good product, but that's kind of where I stand on it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Looks like Anne Arundel County Public Schools.
Yeah, I want to start off by, first of all, thanking the delegation for the work that you've done and getting to this point. But I also had an opportunity to speak with Delegate Bagnall last night about our position on this particular amendment. To your point, Delegate Chisholm, it absolutely will constrain us. So we're trying to get legislation passed to remove constraints so that we can, continue to advance this school district in the manner that this board wants us to move it in, which is to make this a great school district. And then we create another constraint now that ultimately really limits our ability to negotiate properly. I think there's guardrails already in place. We have language in our negotiated agreement for our hourly employees that already protects them. So even if the district, which there is no intent whatsoever for us to have people lose work time as a result, the reality is I'm trying to negotiate how we can get more minutes added on to our school day because of the shortness of our elementary school day, but also the protections that we want to have, that we're not in school until the third week in June. We have all of the superintendents downstairs right now having our meeting. I've had 2 superintendents come to me to say they are already into the third week of June because of the number of days that have canceled. And so this legislation, ultimately, when we negotiate with our union partners, if we're adding 15 minutes onto the day or 20 minutes onto the day, it not only helps us to accomplish what we need to do to get through these high quality curriculum materials that we've introduced in this school district, but it also gives us a buffer when it comes to inclement weather, where we don't have to add on additional days at the end of the year, which ultimately are meaningless. Finally, for me, why this legislation is important is that, as I've said to Delegate Bagnall last night, whether this passes or not, it doesn't break Mark Bedell. It doesn't break Cameron Bedell. Mark Bedell's daughter comes from a home where we are resourced. We have a 2-parent home. My daughter's going to be fine on these early release days. But it's the kids who grew up like Mark Bedell, who are in situations where now the parent has to make a decision. Do I come to work on this early release day, or do I stay home because I don't have any coverage for my kid, because this school district has so many early release days because we have to meet that 180-day requirement? The attitude would be to figure out how to make those days whole. This legislation allows us to do it. And for people, like I've been told, hey, we need a calendar. Now my understanding is Delegate Eversole wants a calendar of what this is going to look like. Well, I've already said what I'm asking for is similar to what we did in Kansas City. That calendar, we never reduced the day on that calendar. The calendar remained according to what it was. In fact, we added more minutes, which ultimately helped our school district to get out of that 22-year hole of being unaccredited. So to your point, Delegate Chisholm, there is no intent whatsoever to take away hours, and we already have guardrails that even if we did do that, the protections are already in the negotiated agreement. I don't think we need legislation now to ultimately dictate that as a part of trying to get this bill through.
And Dr. Bedell, if I may just add to that, I wanted to provide some additional information about those additional guardrails that Dr. Bedell is speaking to. While the school calendar is an illegal subject of bargaining under state law, working hours and the number of days worked are both legal subjects of bargaining. So that is something that we would have to sit down at the table with our union with and work through as part of the bargaining process that's already in place. And as Dr. Bedell mentioned, our current negotiated agreements with several of our units do already contain a number of days worked that we would be required to honor even if this bill would pass. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like we have additional comments. We have Delegate Schmidt and Delegate Bartlett. Delegate Schmidt.
Thank you. Just one quick question, and Grace answered part of that, so thank you. Did this week, when we had the 2 virtual days, did hourly workers get paid on those days?
Yeah.
Yes.
They did. Okay. Thank you.
Excuse me. Looks like Delegate Bartlett.
dropped off.
You have to unmute Delegate Bartlett.
Thank you. I don't understand why this amendment does not have a zero effect on, in essence, because given that, you know, it's already what is required, you said that we already do it, it already happens, et cetera, then why doesn't this amendment just have a zero effect?
Delegate Bartlett, that's because this amendment requires us to hold compensation harmless, not to take it back, not to take a new calendar back to the union to sit down and negotiate what that might look like.
So, okay, I get it, and I understand the hold harmless concept. But when I read the plain language, it states that the compensation is not to be lowered. It doesn't say that it's not to be lowered. Yeah, the total compensation is not to be lowered. So we're not telling you how to make that compensation. What we're saying is that by the end of the year or calendar year or budget year, these hourly employees make the same as they would have made in the previous fiscal year or whatever whatever the agreement is. The concept is we just don't want the total compensation lowered. From there, you can figure out what you want to do. You can negotiate all day long on how you want it to happen. But it's the total compensation as I read it. So that's why I'm a little confused as to this why this doesn't have a zero effect.
Well, I don't even know that it's the zero effect factor that concerns me more so than I think the precedence that this type of language has in a bill like this. So anytime then we want to try to do something in the future, now I'm going to have part-time employees. Well, we need to, the language I think ultimately sets a precedence that I don't think is good for a future superintendent or a future school board, because it ultimately opens up the door now that anytime anything we want to do, we have to make sure that everything's being held harmless. And there's going to be some cases where it's not going to be possible to hold certain things harmless depending on what that particular legislative move may be. So I think for me, it's bigger implications than, you're right, this doesn't impact what happens right here, but it does, to me, creates a precedence that concerns me. I guess the same concerns a lot of people are having about what we're trying to do with this legislation.
Okay, I understand, and thank you for indulging me. I will say one last thing, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, proceed.
On the work group, I know that this was one of the big issues that I heard when I did attend. I wasn't able to attend all the meetings, but this was a big issue that I heard. And so for this particular subject matter, I think it is important to include it. So that's just my thought on that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Bagnall. And then not that we need to move on, but we do have a lot of other bills, but Delegate Bagnall.
Actually, Delegate Bartlett and I shared a brain today, so I'm good.
All right. Any other questions, thoughts? I'm going to give everybody an opportunity here. Okay, we have a motion that's been properly seconded for HB 226-173-625/1. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
This vote is for House Bill 226, Amendment number 173625/1. Vice Chair Simmons. Vice Chair Simmons.
No.
Delegate Bagnall. Delegate Bagnall.
Yes.
Delegate Barnes. Delegate Bartlett.
Yes.
Delegate Baylor.
Yes.
Delegate Chang.
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm.
No.
Delegate Howard.
No.
Delegate Jones. Delegate Jones.
Oh, I apologize. I was on mute. Yes.
Delegate Kipke.
No.
Delegate Lehman,
Yes.
Delegate Pena Melnick,
Yes.
Delegate Congolo,
No.
Delegate Rogers,
No.
Delegate Smith,
No.
Chairman Pruski.
Yes.
By a vote of 8-7 with one absent, the motion does not carry.
Okay, so we now have the bill with the original amendment as passed. Do we have a motion and a second to move forward?
Move
Move
the
as
bill.
amended.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
All right, this vote is for House Bill 226, Anne Arundel County Public Schools, school schedule options with amendment number 1613422/1. Vice Chair Simmons,
Yes.
Delegate Bagnell,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Baylor,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
Yes.
Delegate Howard,
Yes.
Delegate Jones,
Yes.
Delegate Kipke,
Yes.
Delegate Lehman,
Yes.
Delegate Pena Melnick,
Yes.
Delegate Congolo,
Yes.
Delegate Rogers,
Yes.
Delegate Smith,
Yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
By a vote of 15-0 with one absent, the motion, the amendment, and the bill number 1 passes.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And obviously, just as we do for all bill, the delegation letter should be sent to the appropriate committee. So thank you. We'll continue on. HB 1259, this is a vote on Anne Arundel County alcoholic beverages license and permit distance requirements. Is there any further discussion on the bill, or if the sponsor wanted to add anything?
Move the bill as favorable.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on HB 1259? Give it a second here. Delegate Bagnell?
Just if we could get it on the screen. So
Okay.
House Bill 1259.
Yep,
Yeah,
please
well-
hold while we're
Yeah.
just taking down the amendment because I sorry, I got confused.
That's okay. We're gonna try and just wait 1 second. Okay, on the screen, we have House Bill 1259. Is there any section you'd like to see, Delegate Bagnell, or?
No, we're fine. I'm sorry. I just had misplaced my agenda and I want to make sure I was on the right bill. Thank you.
Okay. We have a bill that's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
This vote is for House Bill 1259, Anne Arundel County alcoholic beverages license and permit distance requirements. Vice Chair Simmons,
Yes.
Delegate Bagnell,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Baylor,
Yes.
Delegate Baylor, Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
Yes.
Delegate Howard,
Yes.
Delegate Jones,
Yes.
Delegate Kipke,
Yes.
Delegate Lehman,
Yes.
Delegate Pena Melnick,
Yes.
Delegate Congolo,
Yes.
Delegate Rogers,
Yes.
Delegate Smith.
Yes.
Let's go back, Delegate Baylor. Chair Pruski,
Yes.
By a vote of 14-0 with 2 absent, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
We'll get
Moving
a.
on.
Hey,
Yeah,
Dylan
Del-
has his hand up.
Yep, Delegate Baylor, go ahead.
Apologies. I think my Zoom cut out. I was a yes. Please, if I could be recorded as a yes.
Yep. Mr.
All right,
Secretary.
we have that will change the vote for House Bill 1259 to 15-0.
And we can get a delegation letter. We got alcohol on Monday at ACM.
Yes, all alcohol bills that pass today, letters will be out before the end of the day.
You're awesome, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Moving on to HB 1281. This is Anne Arundel County Alcoholic Beverages Limited Cultural Event Permit. I'll turn it over to the sponsor if you wanted to add anything, and also a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill, we have an amendment to this bill that was created by the Liquor Board to basically give them the sole discretion to approve some type of special event in any of the licensees. I think this is an improvement over the way that we originally drafted the bill. And they also strike the permit fee. They say that wouldn't be consistent with other types of permits that are similar. So basically, this solves the problem of allowing people to have flamenco dancers around Cinco de Mayo, or an Irish dance troupe at an Irish restaurant around St. Patrick's Day. The strict interpretation of the law, they were considering that to be dancing, which requires a permit. So this would allow for those businesses to come before the Liquor Board, ask for permission to have their special event, and I think it solves an issue for everybody. I want to thank the members of the Liquor Board who created the language. It's an improvement, and with that, I move the amendment.
Okay, Delegate Rogers, did you want to add anything?
Second.
I think, well, I'll let Delegate Chisholm get a second in. No, Mr. Chair, thank you. My question was more procedural, and I think that the question may have been answered, and that was if the amendment was proffered after the committee had heard the bill, but he just... Nope. So, okay, so, but anyway, the amendment was just put out there procedurally for a vote, so that's fine.
Yeah, we did discuss it at the bill hearing.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just don't want Robert rolling over in his grave, so I just wanted to make sure that we were doing everything in decency and order, as the speaker says. Thank you.
Okay, I don't have the amendment number in front of me. I don't know if the secretary could read it, or...
I have it.
Okay.
The bill number is House Bill 1281 333-629-1.
Okay.
That's what this vote will be for.
Yes, so we have a motion that's been properly moved and seconded with that amendment. Any further discussion? Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
All right, this vote is on the amendment for House Bill 1281 333-629-1. Vice Chair Simmons.
Yes.
Delegate Bagnall.
Yes.
Delegate Barnes. Delegate Bartlett.
Yes.
Delegate Baylor.
Yes.
Delegate Chang.
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm.
Yes.
Delegate Howard.
Yes.
Delegate Jones.
Yes.
Delegate Kipke.
Yes.
Delegate Lehman. Delegate Lehman. Delegate Pena-Melnick.
Yes.
Delegate Congolo.
Yes.
Delegate Rogers.
Yes.
Delegate Smith.
Yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
Check Delegate Lehman one more time. Mr. Chair, by a vote of 14-0 with 2 absent, the amendment passes.
Thank you. I believe we have a motion or a bill now that's been amended. Is there a motion to move the bill as amended?
Motion to move the bill as amended.
Second.
Second. Okay, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
This vote will be for House Bill 1281 with amendment number 333-629-1. Title Anne Arundel County Alcoholic Beverages Limited Cultural Event Permit. Vice Chair Simmons,
Yes.
Delegate Bagnall,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Baylor,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
Yes.
Delegate Howard,
Yes.
Delegate Jones,
Yes.
Delegate Kipke,
Yes.
Delegate Lehman, Delegate Pena Melnick,
Yes.
Delegate Congolo,
Yes.
Delegate Rogers,
Yes.
Delegate Smith,
Yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, by a vote of 14-0, House Bill 1281 with amendment passes.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And as stated again, all letters for bills will go as the Secretary stated. Next bill, HB 571. This is Anne Arundel County Class C Veterans Organizations License and Rent Permit. I'll turn it over to the sponsor.
This bill, as you'll recall, was introduced to solve an issue at a local VFW in my district in Pasadena, who current law disallows them from operating their bar when they rent out their hall for, a retirement party or whatever it may be. The liquor board was very helpful in crafting an amendment, which is before us. What the amendment does is it resolves their concern about one of these organizations evolving into some sort of nightclub as a runaround the law, which I share their concern about that. So their amendment will require that the entity that rents the hall, they will still have to get a one-day liquor license like they do today. So that third party will have to get a one-day liquor license, but the VFW will be allowed to operate their bar, which is, it's safer to do it that way because the law requires to have them trained, the TIPS training for alcohol awareness. And so I think this is, it's good for the nonprofit economically. It's good for public safety, and it preserves the existing framework of the different classifications of licenses. The liquor board did say that they would be comfortable allowing all clubs to operate under this manner, but in discussions with the alcohol subcommittee chairman and the chairman of the delegation and others, at this time, there seems to be comfort in only expanding this to the nonprofits who are licensed in the county. So we took that into account, expanded the bill to include fraternal and soror organizations, which are all the other nonprofits that are licensed. These are things like the Elks Lodge, the FOP Hall. And so basically all the nonprofits who have a license to sell alcohol will be allowed to operate under this amendment.
Is there a motion to approve the amendment?
Move the amendment.
Second. Oh, and I forgot to mention that Delegate Bagnall was a staunch advocate for the Elks lodges in her district, who have previously explained to her that they would like some flexibility around this subject as well, as it's a burden on the way that they operate. So with that, I just want to thank her for her input on the issue.
Thank you. Looks like we have counsel Matt Carpenter.
Yeah, I just want to make sure the amendment on the screen is an older version of the amendment. The correct ID is 153420/1, which includes all of the provisions Delegate Kipke just described.
Okay. In the meantime, while we're pulling up that amendment, Delegate Bartlett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Delegate, for explaining the amendment. I have a few questions. And was there a request by any fraternities or sororities to be included in the group?
So that term, I think, is an outdated term that should probably be fixed in a future legislation. That doesn't properly describe what the licensees are. If you look at that section of the code, you'll see that that's defined as it is nonprofit membership organizations, political organizations. But what they are Elks Lodges, Moose Lodges, the FOP Lodge, the Firefighters Lodge. We used to have Democratic clubs in the county. They were included under that. Things like that. Athletic clubs could be considered. I believe Delegate Pruski has an athletic club that would be included under this, and it's voluntary. No one has to do it. They do have to pay a $450 fee annually, and the one-day liquor license folks would obviously have to pay that fee as well.
So, just to be clear, I want to make sure I understand. This would only include here's what I'm getting at. So if a fraternity or sorority were a nonprofit organization, they would be included in this with this amendment.
If they wanted to open up a facility and apply for a liquor license, yes.
And this liquor license we're not talking a one day, we're talking it's not an event license. This is the license. Is that?
Yeah, just
the way it works?
Just like an Elks Lodge or a VFW.
Okay.
I think having the work I don't think that that's actually fraternities and sorority. I could be wrong, but I don't think any of them are licensed in the county. The liquor board could probably answer that. I didn't review the whole list.
Delegate
I guess I'm just trying to make sure I understand. So you're saying they're not currently licensed, you don't believe?
I don't believe there are any fraternities or sororities licensed by the board. So I think that the name of this particular license is weird. It's not the right language. That's my opinion. But when you look at the code, it says what the definition of those organizations are. And in practical, in reality, what they are national nonprofit membership organizations that build a building and then later apply for a liquor license if they want one. And those are Elks Lodges, Moose Lodges, things I've mentioned.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I don't want to belabor the point, and I think the liquor board was going to make some clarification.
Yes, we do. And actually, I want to be clear. So part of the discussion is to include all nonprofits. And I think there was a confusion. And I'll let the liquor board speak to that about sorority and fraternal, because actually athletic clubs are not included. But I want to let them speak to it. And I know that we have counsel too, but I'll turn it over to the liquor board to clarify what they mean by nonprofits and who's included, who's not included, because they have the information.
Yeah, so I was just merely going to say that I think Delegate Kipke actually explained it pretty well. And I was going to add something, but I think he did a great job. So that was all I had.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah. Do you have any questions other than that?
I just want to be clear with this amendment. Does this include athletic clubs or not? Because I think that's the question.
Yes, if it's a nonprofit.
If it's a nonprofit, yes.
Okay, if it's a nonprofit. Okay, and then Delegate Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I know that may be confusing because initially what we talked about in subcommittee was just the veterans organizations, and then we expanded it to include Moose and Elks Lodge and other fraternal and soror organizations as defined in the bill. But I guess my question is more of one, and this is probably more so for the liquor board, just in terms of workload, by adding all these additional, I mean, I know it'll certainly provide additional revenue potentially, but by expanding it beyond what the initial amendment had, is that going to create a lot of extra workload for the liquor board?
Thank you, Delegate. This is Edward.
with the liquor board. No, it would not, because we're already at this point issuing these one-day licenses. The only thing that would be different is they would be allowed to sell their own alcohol as opposed to the third party bringing the alcohol to the club. So we are very full support of that. Currently, there are 37 Class C licenses. 30 of those are nonprofit. There are 7 which have a Class C, but they're a little different because they have the special golf course. They have the special yacht club. We have a small yacht club. Most of these clubs do not rent out their facility. Every now and then they will do a fundraiser, which they're required to then get the one-day license. So we really don't see a lot from them, but the other clubs, yes, obviously these clubs have been around for decades. Their membership has declined, and most of them have to, rent out their facilities. So we are in support to allow them to do that and to allow them to use their own alcohol, provided they get the one-day license. So we would still, collect the application, do our due diligence, make sure, everybody knows what to do, what's required. Some of these events might have 300, 400 people. All of our Class C licenses, they are sent over to the intelligence at the Anne Arundel County Police Department. So if they see any red flags or if they see an event that's 400 people, they might be interested in, driving by or taking a look at it. So I hope that answered your question. As far as the revenue, it's really not much. Every one-day license, if you're going to serve beer and wine, it would be $25. If you're serving beer, wine, and liquor, it's $50. So it's a very small fee for the third party.
No, thank you. That's incredibly helpful. I was just wanting to ensure that, from a workload perspective, it wouldn't, unduly impact the liquor board itself, because I know there's always a question about revenues, and I know it's always a question about expansion and increased costs. And so I just wanted to make sure that, this particular legislation, adding those additional 37 clubs outside of the VFWs and American Legions wouldn't adversely impact your workload, therefore your resources. So that's very helpful. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I don't see any further hands. Is there any other discussion? I want to give everybody. Oh, Delegate Bartlett.
Just want to ask the liquor board a question, or either the sponsor. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So if a nonprofit national organization, which I belong to a sorority that is a nonprofit national organization, but when I joined, it was an undergraduate nonprofit national organization. If we had a building, which we did on campus, we would have the ability to apply for this license. I just need to be clear on that.
This bill doesn't change that. That's existing law. And
I guess that's what I'm asking. So currently, I didn't think we could have done it on a college campus. And I thought this bill would have changed that, but you're saying that already can be done?
What I'm telling you is anybody can apply, and the liquor board will look at the application and decide whether or not it's appropriate based on the law. This bill does not change that appropriateness, that the criteria to get a liquor license. What this bill does just is the people who are already licensed, it allows them to rent their facility out and operate their bar to the person who's rented out. But the who can apply for this license does not change at all. The fact that it's called a fraternal and sororal is confusing, I think, and needs to be changed, because that's not what's done today. You could not, for example, give this license to a underage group of people. It has to be, there's due diligence that goes into it. This bill doesn't change that due diligence at all. So the who can apply for this is existing law.
Thank you. That gives me clarification.
Thank you, Delegate Bagnall. Did you have a question or?
Just to confirm, Thank you, Mr. Chair. For fraternal and sororal is simply the name of the class of licenses. Is that correct? And that's really what we probably need a work group to look at, maybe changing the name for the future.
I would agree, and we'll talk about it maybe future amendment that it may be mute, but yes, I agree with you on that. But we do have an amendment on the floor that's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? And this is HB 0571 15324 20/1. Any further discussion? Mr. Secretary, could you please call the roll on the amendment?
All right, this vote is for House Bill 571, amendment number 153420/1. Vice Chair Simmons,
Yes.
Delegate Bagnall,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett,
Still a little confused, but yes.
Delegate Baylor,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
Yes.
Delegate Howard,
Yes.
Delegate Jones, Delegate Jones, Delegate Kipke,
Yes.
Delegate Lehman, Delegate Pena Melnick,
Because I've had the pleasure of knowing Mel. She is a.
Did you hear me?
yes, Delegate Pena Melnick was a yes. Delegate Congolo,
Yes.
Delegate Rogers,
Yes.
Delegate Smith,
Yes.
circle back to Delegate Jones.
Rejoining the meeting right now.
All right, hold 2 seconds.
She stated that her internet is down.
Oh,
Apologize, Chair. My entire internet, am I back?
yes, Delegate Jones.
Could you please let me know what we're voting on as I
House
just came back?
Bill 571, Amendment 153420/1. Should be on your, yes. All right, Delegate Lehman. Chair Pruski.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, by a vote of 14-0 with 2 absent, the amendment to House Bill 571 passes.
Thank you. And then we have another amendment. And let me be clear, for procedural purposes, this wasn't shared till this morning because the liquor board was reviewing, and this was really not discussed in the alcohol sub. However, it's based upon clarifying the sororal and fraternal. And I think my question was answered earlier on whether the athletic clubs were included or not. But now, since I'm even more confused, like Delegate Bartlett, I'm going to turn it over to the liquor board on why or why not this amendment would be needed. So I'll turn it over to the liquor board and your discussion for this amendment that I'm introducing on your behalf.
Good morning, everybody. Wayne Harris, Chairman of the Arundel County Liquor Board. I can answer any questions, specific questions you have. Initially, when this bill was introduced, as Delegate Kipke had said, it was involving veterans only, and they wanted to expand it. We didn't feel that the way it was being expanded, particularly for fraternal sororital, that it included other Class C licenses, nonprofits, and we wanted to make sure that it was fair to all nonprofits. You heard Executive Director Aronson tell you there's 37 Class Cs, 30 of which are nonprofits, 7 of which are not. If there's any particular or specific question that I can answer, I'm available, please.
And I believe if I might interject, I believe this amendment actually covers those 30 now, whereas the original was just limited to those 2 categories. So now we're covering everything except for the 7 for-profits. Correct.
Delegate Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm kind of curious. Who are the 7 for-profits?
We can give you the list. There's only 7 of them. 3 of them are yacht clubs, 3 of them are golf courses, and 1 of them is a community club. And if you need the names, of course, we're more than happy to give them to you.
That would be helpful. Just out of curiosity. Thanks.
We can give them to you now, Delegate.
Yes, so we have the Special Golf Country Club license, which is the Heritage Harbor Community Association. We have the Walden Country Club, which is a special golf country club license. There's Chartwell Country Club. There's Crofton Country Club. There is Cannon Club. And then we have two yacht clubs. One is Belvedere Yacht Club. That is a small yacht club. That's actually a new license that was developed in 2020. And then we have West River, which is the just a plain yacht club. Like I was saying earlier, most of these do not obtain any type of special event type of have any special events that would require a one-day license. They do every now and then do have fundraisers, and that will trigger the one-day license, because if there's any money exchanging hands, they would have to be a nonprofit.
So to be clear, and how does this amendment differ from the amendment that we just approved?
It's more inclusive. So what it does is, when we got to the point where we all said, well, gosh, we all agree that we want it to be inclusive of the nonprofits, this amendment, and I can defer to Matt also, but this amendment, the intention of this amendment is to capture those 30, not just the fraternal, sororal organizations and veterans organizations.
Right, it would include the athletic clubs.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, council, do you want to add anything to that? Because I know that's where I said the confusion earlier when we said that athletic clubs were included. So I don't know if Matt Carpenter wanted to say that this amendment does include them now.
I could.
Yes, this would include any holder who holds a Class C license, which includes everything under the next subtitle, which is each of those individual groups that we mentioned.
Delegate Kipke, I know you wanted to add something.
When I opened up the law book and was reading through to make sure we were covering everything, you have to jump around, and it's very easy to sort of miss something. So for the liquor board, the athletic club, for example, what category do they fall in their Class C license?
Yes, they just fall under the general Class C beer, wine, and liquor license. So this license authorizes a license holder to sell beer, wine, and liquor at retail at a club at the place described in the license for on-premise consumption.
So they're in
it's
the general.
basically,
They're
it's just a
general where
club.
an Elks Lodge is under fraternal, sororal. Okay, so then I support this amendment because the intent is to cover all of the nonprofits, and so I move the amendment.
Okay, is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay, if we could scroll back up on the amendment, I'm sorry, on the screen, because there's been a lot there, so I can read the right amendment. Just give me a second here to scroll back up so I can read the correct. Okay, there we go. Thank you. So this is HB 571-143522/1. We have a motion on this amendment. It's been properly moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
This vote is for House Bill 571, Amendment 143522/1. Vice Chair Simmons.
Yes.
Delegate Bagnall.
Yes.
Delegate Barnes. Delegate Bartlett.
Yes.
Delegate Baylor.
Yes.
Delegate Chang.
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm.
Yes.
Delegate Howard.
Yes.
Delegate Jones.
Yes.
Delegate Kipke.
Yes.
Delegate Lehman. Delegate Pena-Melnick.
Yes.
Delegate Congolo.
Yes.
Delegate Rogers.
Yes.
Delegate Smith.
Yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
By a vote of 14-0, amendment number 143522/1 to House Bill 571 passes 14-0.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Now we have a bill that's amended. Is there a motion to move the bill with the amendments?
Move the bill as amended.
Second.
Second, any further discussion? Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on HB 571 as amended.
This vote is for House Bill 571 as amended, with amendments number 153420/1 and 143522/1. Vice Chair Simmons,
Yes.
Delegate Bagnall,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett,
No.
Delegate Baylor,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
Yes.
Delegate Howard,
Yes.
Delegate Jones,
Yes.
Delegate Kipke,
Yes.
Delegate Lehman, Delegate Pena Melnick,
Yes.
Delegate Congolo,
Yes.
Delegate Rogers,
Yes.
Delegate Smith,
Yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
By a vote of 13-1 with 2 absent, the motion House Bill 571 with 2 amendments carries.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. We'll keep moving forward. We have 2 more bills. One's a vote, one's a presentation. Thank you again. HB 402, this is a vote on Anne Arundel County Board of Education Student Member Scholarship. If you can recall, this was an increase of the scholarship from 8 to 15,000 to be equivalent to the current school board members. I did want to clarify because Delegate Schmidt had a question. That scholarship can be used in and out of state. That has been actually part of the record. And obviously there, is there a motion to move HB 402?
Move the bill.
Is there a second? Okay, Delegate Howard had a question.
Yeah, you said they're able to use the scholarship in and out of state. Is it based on the same premise as the delegate and Senate scholarship? So if it's it's just any old class that they want into or out of the state?
It is different, Delegate Howard, because Senator Simon Ayer, who's the sponsor, clarified that. I know he contacted Delegate Schmidt, who had the question last time. It's been practice that is different than our delegate and senatorial scholarships, that it's been used in and out of state. For instance, the school board member that I serve with went to school in Pennsylvania. The reason why it's different is, again, because they are a full voting school board member. They do a lot of actions. Again, that's been the premise for action.
Yeah, but that doesn't, in my mind, that doesn't lead to why it would be just because they're a school board member. That doesn't lead to why it would be on a different premise of other than the scholarships that we currently offer. So, okay.
Understood. It's been tradition that way. Whether you agree with that, I respect that, but
Yeah.
that's how it's been. It's not like I'm changing it with the bill. The only thing I'm doing is bringing the parity of what we currently have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm probably a no, just based on the lack of parity. So.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Mr. Secretary, HB 402. We have a motion on the floor. It's been properly moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
This vote is for House Bill 402, Anne Arundel County Board of Education Student Member Scholarship Increase. Vice Chair Simmons,
Yes.
Delegate Bagnall,
Yes.
Delegate Barnes, Delegate Bartlett,
Yes.
Delegate Baylor,
Yes.
Delegate Chang,
Yes.
Delegate Chisholm,
No.
Delegate Howard,
No, and I like the bill. I like what is trying to be accomplished, but again, I just would like to see the parity. So,
Delegate Jones,
Yes.
Delegate Kipke,
No.
Delegate Lehman, Delegate Pena Melnick, Delegate Pena
Yes.
Melnick.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I have you
Yes.
as yes. Delegate Congolo,
No.
Delegate Rogers,
Yes.
Delegate Smith,
Yes.
Chair Pruski.
Yes.
By a vote of 10-4 with 2 absent, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And we have one bill being presented today. It's not up for vote. It's the first time for hearing. I'm going to turn it over to Vice Chair Simmons. If I can present the bill, if you would take over for questions, Vice Chair Simmons, can you do that?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Delegate Bartlett had a question, I believe, before. Hold on.
Mr. Chair, I was just looking at the amendment, the agenda, unless it's been amended. Are we still voting on House Bill 453?
Thank you. The impact fee bill has been removed
Okay.
because of a hold with the county and your suggestion of a possible amendment. So we will remove that from the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Bartlett. All right.
Awesome.
HB
ready?
971 is the Anne Arundel County Crownsville Hospital Memorial Park Advisory Committee. I am introducing this on behalf of Anne Arundel County. For those of you that don't know or haven't seen it, in December of 2022, Anne Arundel County took over the Anne Arundel County Crownsville Hospital Memorial Park. Since then, a master advisory plan has been initiated. I know the county executive presented that the other day. For those of you that don't have a copy, I have one in my office if you want to look at it. I believe it's also posted online, but let me read the purpose of the bill. The purpose of establishing the Anne Arundel County Crownsville Hospital Memorial Park Advisory Committee is to provide advice on the planning of and making recommendations regarding the Anne Arundel County Crownsville Hospital Memorial Park related to the Park Advisory Committee. The committee itself has numerous appointments. I'm not going to go through all of them. It's trying to be inclusive to include. And if anybody has any questions, I can certainly turn it over to the county. But essentially, because this is a large project, and certainly the state is certainly involved, I know there are some limitations in terms of what can and cannot be done on the property. And I believe many of you have actually visited the property as well. But the intention of this bill is to codify the advisory committee. So I will open up the county if they want to add anything. But I'll stop there and then see if there's any additional questions.
Excuse me. Thank you, Chair Pruski. Ethan Hunt on behalf of the county executive. So just briefly, I do want to thank the delegation for their support of our endeavor to make Crownsville Hospital Memorial Park a transformational, once-in-a-generation project here in Anne Arundel County. I especially want to thank Councilmember Lisa Rodvian, Senator Guile, Delegates Schmidt and Bagnall for serving on the advisory committee. And I appreciate everyone who was able to make it on Zoom because of the snowstorm on Wednesday to hear the presentation of the final master plan. It is posted online. You all should have received the press release with the link. If you didn't, let me know. I will send it to you. And I'd like to turn it over briefly to Hannah Dyer, our Deputy Chief Administrative Officer, who's been heavily involved in this project.
Good morning, Hannah Dyer, Deputy Chief Administrative Officer. I'll be quick. I think this is a pretty straightforward bill. And thank you again to Chairman Pruski for introducing it. So this, as Chairman Pruski said, would codify the Crownsville Advisory Committee in state law. This has been a key part, this advisory committee has been a key part of our public engagement over the past 18 months. And so the goals of this bill are to protect the vision and the goals of the master plan that we just released earlier this week, and to also make sure that the delegation continues to be involved in the future of the site. So thank you again to all of the delegation for your support of this project, the transfer a couple years ago. Thank you again to Delegate Bagnall, Delegate Schmidt, and Senator Guile for serving on the advisory committee. And also thank you, Delegate Bagnall, for bringing this idea to us and working through what this would look like.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Ms. Dyer, we have a question from Delegate Chisholm, I believe.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know how in-depth the Memorial Park's going to be, but I was trying to get through this. Do we have anybody from planning and zoning or even an architect or an engineer? Because I'd hate for all this work to get done and then you get to the point where an Anne Arundel County planning and zoning or an engineer or an architect says it's impossible to do, and then you got to go back to the drawing board. I know that they're very expensive and they probably don't like to give up their time, but I just think it might help to cut some time out on the project if you do what is practicable and obviously fits in the Anne Arundel County Code.
So Delegate Chisholm, if you do look at the bill, there is one representative with expertise in infrastructure. I'm not sure if the county has any other thing, but I would assume that would be somebody with a planning and zoning background, but I'll let the county respond directly.
Yeah, that's exactly the idea. The other thing I'll note is that we see the advisory committee as really the public engagement arm of this project. So certainly we have all of the relevant departments internally involved in Department of Public Works, Central Services, Planning and Zoning. This has been truly a large team effort. So we certainly have that expertise involved.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further questions? Again, this was the first initial hearing of this bill. for HB 971, and also to clarify the, as Delegate Bartlett said, the impact fee bill will be brought next week with a possible amendment. But I want to make sure any further questions related to the Crownsville Hospital Memorial Park bill. Okay. Well, seeing none, I do want to take a moment. As you know, the logistics in these meetings is often a little hectic. I do want to thank my Chief of Staff, Jen Garcia, also Mr. Secretary Roger Massey and Matt Carpenter. They've been doing amendments late at night and doing a lot of things. And as you know, our staff is working hard to try and move things forward with Anne Arundel. So I just want to take a moment to thank all of them and others from Delegate Bagnall's office. I know Rory and others. I'm probably missing somebody, but to all of you that are helping, thank you. So at this point, we will take a motion to close this meeting. We have no other business that I'm aware on the agenda unless somebody wanted to raise their hand.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Is there a second? Great. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, everyone, and be safe. Thank you.